Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Startup Friday. For those of you watching via live stream, a warm welcome also. My name is Liedewij Dekker, and I'm your host for the next hour. I work in the Innovation Center of ABN AMRO. Startup Friday is an initiative of the Innovation Center, and every month we invite startups to give 3-minute pitches about a subject of relevance for the finance industry. Today we have a very international lineup of startups that are working on biometrics. I promise you for the next hour you will hear the latest about biometrics and have a chance to meet with the speakers afterwards. Before we start with the program, I would like to point out that today is the last day of the national fundraising campaign for Giro 555 to stop Ebola. Startup Friday supports this initiative sincerely, and I would like to ask you all to make a contribution. You can do so by going to tiny.cc@Giro555 or download, if you haven't already, the free Why Donate app. Our goal is to raise at least €1,000 by the end of this evening at 6 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock I will give you the intermediate score. So back to the subject of today, biometrics. Biometrics refers to technologies that analyze and measure human body characteristics, such as the face, the hand, voice recognition, the heartbeat, DNA, and even behavior. The rise of biometrics can be explained by the use of mobile devices. Customers are used to the convenience their mobile devices offer. It keeps them connected and gives them access to online services. A side effect is that they need to remember user IDs and passwords to identify and authenticate themselves. It's a great nuisance to customers to keep track of all of these passwords, and there lies a great opportunity for biometrics. I just bought my iPhone 6, and I found it surprising that within days already I got used to the convenience of the Touch ID. Its ease of use takes out the friction. Not only convenience is a driver for biometrics, but also improved security online. We all know that what we do online holds great value for criminals in search of personal information to sell or misuse. Stolen IDs, phishing, hacking, identity theft, we've all heard about it or even worse, experienced it. And the costs and hassle associated with this are great. So to improve security online, biometrics holds possibilities. And what we can do with biometrics online, what we can do with security online is great. Let me just check my notes. Security online maybe in combination with more traditional security measures. So convenience, taking out the friction, and improving security online are subjects that require innovation power. And that's why within our focus areas, personal data and seamless transactions, we are exploring the possibilities and starting up experiments around this. A couple of examples in the finance industries, the Royal Bank of Canada and MasterCard announced that they are going to test using the wearer's heartbeat to make payments. By wearing the NIMI band, a wearable that tracks the heartbeat of an individual, you can authorize payments. And this can also be used to unlock your car or unlock your computer in the future. Next to this, Barclays Bank is rolling out voice recognitions. It started using it for their private clients, and now they're rolling it out to their retail customers. It holds great potential. And a bit closer to home, ING introduced hands-free banking. By talking to your app, you can inquire your bank balance, and next year you will be able to authorize payments or log in to your mobile app. Not only in payments, but also in access control, biometrics holds value, especially in environments where high security is enabled. For example, our ABN AMRO data centers, our colleagues there enter with a finger vein instead of access card. And also at border control points like Schiphol, iris recognition is being used. Enough for me. I am very happy to welcome all of our speakers here today. And first of all, I would like to invite our Corporate Information and Security Office, Milan Kaihatu, to give us his view on biometrics. This one's for you.
Well, thank you, Liedewij, for the introduction. Yes, indeed, my name is Milan Kaihatu. I worked with the ABN AMRO CISO department, which stands for Corporate Information Security Office. Is something? Okay. Liedewij, have you something for my slides? Let's have a look. Which one? Where's my slide? This one? This one. Okay. Well, as I told you, I'm with the CISO department. You might know us from our security risk assessments. We also do advisory. So if you need any advice on security for your product, have anything you want to launch, we are CISO, come to us. But we are also into identity and access management. And identity and access management is about who you are, what you can do, and we do that by doing authentication. Authentication can be done in many ways. Usually we use just passwords, but better is to do the two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication is like you have something and you know something. You can all do internet banking, I suppose, and you use your access card and you know your password. Put it together, you have two-factor authentication. At CISO, we think that's the way you want to do it. But now there's this biometrics, which introduced something new. Biometrics also includes something you are. And then, as Liedewij already told you, this new iPhone, which just came into the market, has a great way to use your fingerprint. I just got this machine, and first I was a bit skeptic. Am I really going to use it? Well, yes, me as a security expert, I use it, and I find it really easy. You just tap your finger on it, and you get into your phone. But then, even better, you tap your finger on it when you go into the App Store, and you bought an app. Really cool. But as I told you, I also am into security. So first thing I do when I find something new in my hands with anything secure, I think, well, let's look into that. I was looking on the internet and I found a paper dating from 2004, 10 years ago. It's a paper by ISACA, and ISACA is some kind of group for information security professionals, so they better know what they're talking about. And they came with a few things that really made me think. A few examples they mentioned is, what if somebody copies your finger or comes with a fake finger, or whatever way they come with your finger? I don't want to even imagine that, how they do it. But also, you have this tiny sensor on on your machine or whatever, and when you put your finger on the sensor, it can be copied. Try it. Next, the old-fashioned ways of hacking. You can do something with putting lots of current on the device, and then the machine will behave different. You never know. But even though that's all 10 years ago, I'm still thinking, crazy. But what if they then were able to get your fingerprint? It's not like a password, which you can change. If somebody gets your password, next thing you do is change your password. You can't just change your fingerprint. However, when we were talking about a proposition on biometrics, I told you it's really easy to use biometrics. I really want to give the way of using biometrics to log into the mobile app, because it's the way to move forward. You can make it way easier for your customers, but you have to put a bit of a hold on it. You can use it if you have your chain of security really good connected. It's more like if you have this proper authentication first, then you can do you can add biometrics to it. So later on, you can use this biometrics to get into your systems really easy. So don't move too fast forward. That's the thing I want to say. But also, we don't know everything at CISO. And that's why I'm really happy that I'm standing here with all these companies around me and people who work with me to say, hey, if you have got any good ideas about how we can put biometrics to work for our customers, please contact me. This is my email address, ciso@nl.abnamro.com. Come find me and we'll talk.
Thank you, Milan. I'm curious to know if we have already done some pilots or experiments within CISO.
Yes, we did. It's now already 2 years ago that we first did some experience on biometrics. We did some studies with facial recognition, and well, the results for that time were quite nice.
Okay. So we're open to exploring it.
Oh yes.
Also from your departments.
Yes.
Great. Any other questions for our Corporate Information Security Office? Okay. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Milan. We're gonna listen to our 3-minute pitches of the startups now. And first up is Callum McLeod from Behaviosec. They offer a leading technology for behavioral biometrics. So please give it up for Callum McLeod.
Thanks, Lidivai. Before my 3 minutes starts, okay, a lesson for Dutch people, okay? I come from Scotland, okay? Ik spreek Nederlands, but I come from Scotland. AO in Scottish is ow, MacLeod. Aha, there's only one, Okay, so, reset the time. Okay, slides. Right, Behaviosec, behavioral biometrics. Okay, who are we? Okay, it depends on who you ask. Some people talk about as being the last mile. We talk about, people talk about as being the final frontier. Okay, important thing is that what do we do? Okay, we are going to find out who you are by the way that you behave. Okay, very, very important. Okay, some people say we're the tech company that goes where no one's gone before. And for those of you who have seen the movie Taken, we have special skills. We will find you. Right? So who are our clients? Today there are over 20 European banks that use our technology for mobile and internet banking. Now I'm an ABN AMRO customer, and the two scariest apps that I have are the ABN AMRO mobile banking app and the ABN AMRO credit card app, because there's no security other than the PIN code in that. So something for this is we've done this in, as I said, over 20 banks. The accuracy level reaches 99.7%. In fact, one of the credit card companies achieved an accuracy level of 99.87%. Now, what are we doing? We are looking at your behavior from the moment that you start to authenticate right through the whole session. So even if something changes in the behavior during the session, we can detect it. Another area we're working in is embedded in the handsets. I hear about the fingerprints. Handset manufacturers are moving away from fingerprint. Why? Because the price point of a handset smartphone is going to drop to about $50. Biometric technology is going to be very expensive in these handsets. Behavioral technology is there. It's very, very easy to implement. They already have the technology in the handsets to allow you to use behavior. We also work with the US government, organization called DARPA. Now, to get an idea again of the level of accuracy, their point for us is 1 error in 1 million connections on a daily basis. That is the level of accuracy we could actually get to with behavior. So how do we do it? Very simple. On the PC, we're capturing the keyboard behavior and the mouse behavior. We're looking at the way that you move around your applications. When you get onto the mobile device, there are many points. Pressure, acceleration, the angle at which you move things. Are you working left-handed or right-handed? Every one of these things is unique to each of us here. In fact, with behavioral biometrics, we could all have exactly the same password, and I can guarantee you that none of us will get into anybody else's account in this room if we're using behavioral biometrics. That's the level of accuracy you can have. So if you have any questions, or if you even want to try it yourselves, hang on, give me that last, there we go. demo.behaviosec.com. So here's the challenge for you. You guys go out there, create your own profiles. There's an online banking app. Create your own profiles and see if you can beat somebody else's profile. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Callum?
What if you're schizophrenic?
Why am I schizophrenic? You mean why? Because I'm banking with the ABN?
No, you're different people.
What if?
What if you're two people? We support the concept of multiple profiles. So actually, on a serious thing, in the US, for example, in banking, it's very common to have what they call mom and pop accounts. In other words, the bank will give you one user credential, but you have a husband and wife are both using the same credential to log in.
What's the second question? Thanks.
Okay. If you're schizophrenic, the other one is, what happens if you get too drunk on Friday night, you break both arms, you try to kind of move all your money out of your account Saturday morning. That one we can't help you with.
Any other questions?
Hello. I think you need some kind of data set to store all the behavior data.
That's correct. So
Yeah.
when you first start, the first time you use the system, I don't know who you are. So I'm going to start learning your behavior. So depending on how much activity you do in a session, I'm going to basically start to build a profile. So
How long does it take?
it can take between one session. We usually see between one session and 10 sessions. So if I take, for example, a mobile app. So in the banks that we're working with in the mobile app, they have a 6-digit PIN. It'll take about, if all I do is enter the 6-digit PIN and log out, so not even check account balance or anything else, it'll take about 10 logins to get that. If I go in and start actually doing stuff in the account, it'll be 2 or 3 sessions, and then I've got enough data to actually create a profile.
A
There's
final
another question over here somewhere. Well, I can take questions all day.
I assume you also, when people grow and develop, you adjust your profile.
Yeah, so the way the profile is working is that once I know your profile, I have thresholds for behavior. So you're looking at two things. You're trying to differentiate between what they call the false accept and the false reject. In other words, if I set the thresholds too low, then you would actually be able to beat my profile. Yeah. If I set the thresholds too high, I would never be able to be myself. So you have to find that balance. That's where the 99.7, 99.8 comes from. Yeah. How can you find the right threshold between ensuring you don't have a false accept, but at the same time you're not rejecting somebody who really is who they say they are? So what you're doing then is, as you have each session, I'm learning your behavior. So as long as you're within the thresholds that have been set in the session, your behavior is growing each and every time I use it. If you're outside the thresholds, I'm going to ignore your behavior because it's going to be outside the limits.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Now
Now we're going to proceed. So,
What? Is there a place to hide? We have special skills. We know where to find you.
okay. Thank you very much, Callum. Next up. Next up is Jasper Petersen from BPI Connected Identification. BPI uses ID scan and smartphone technology and biometrics. I'm very curious to learn more, so please give it up for Jasper.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jasper Petersen. I'm working for BPI. And BPI is a Dutch company that specializes in electronic identification. And our pitch for today is about mobile ID, an application that uses identity document checking and biometrics to identify a person with standard smartphone technology. So what is electronic identification all about? Basically, it starts with the question, who are you? And this is an important question for a bank, for example, to ask before they accept a new customer or before they hire new personnel. You want to know, who is this person? The traditional way to do this is to use a full-page passport scanner, which you can see here, at the desk, and you invite your customer to come to the store, bring your identity document, and we scan it, we check it, and we then can proceed. We've been supplying these types of solutions for many years. We know all about it. But 2 years ago, we were invited by the Dutch police to participate in a pilot and a tender for a mobile ID scanner. And the mobile ID scanner had to allow a police officer on the street to check an identity document and biometrics using a standard smartphone, his standard smartphone. And we introduced this device. It's called the Grabba, and it adds technology to a phone that the phone does not have, like a certified FBI fingerprint scanner, MRZ passport swipe reader, an RFID for contactless cards, and a contact smart card reader. And furthermore, we can add all kinds of technologies that the customer wants. We were very successful with this pilot, and we are now the partner for this technology for Dutch police, but also for a lot of other police forces in Europe. And we think that this type of application, where we check an identity document and use the biometrics in the identity document to verify the holder, will be relevant for banking also. For this purpose, we are now also developing an application called Mobile ID that allows the document check and the biometric verification, but then using the smartphone only. And in that case, we use the camera of the smartphone to capture an image of a passport, for example, use the NFC on the phone to read the chip, and then take biometrics, for example, with the camera of the smartphone, and facial recognition to check if the document belongs to the right person. And if so, then we can register your new customer as a client in your CRM system, or register your new personnel in your HR system. So that's basically what we are working on, and our pitch for today.
Dankjewel. Dankjewel, Jasper. Vragen voor Jasper.
Do I understand correctly that so it's a device that you put on your phone, and that will enable the phone to do all the functions that you just explained?
Exactly, yes. But we are also developing an application that can do it on your phone without additional hardware. Only the trust level will be lower in that case. How much do you need? We will provide it as a service, and the hardware, it depends on the configuration and what type of technologies you want inside. Yes, well, it's comparable with a standard smartphone, for example.
Any other questions for Jasper? Can you give some examples where we're already using it?
Yeah, besides the Dutch police, we are using it also at the Carabinieri in Italy. The Belgian police or the Belgian government is looking at it for electronic signature. There they have an identity card. You can put in your ID card, and they ask for a PIN, and then you put your electronic signature. And I think this will be relevant also in banking, because we see governments preparing ID documents, like identity cards that have biometrics and other chip functions that can be used for electronic trusted services, like online services, not only for the government, but also for the banking industry, like authorizing a payment using your ID card from the government.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
We're going to proceed with Reinier van der Drift. I would like the microphone. From Authenticatie. Authenticatie supports one platform where you can mix and match different biometric technologies. So please give it up for Reinier van der Drift.
Hi, thank you. I'm Reinier. We're from a Dutch startup, Authenticatie. It stands for Authentication as a Service. This is not my presentation. Let me see. That's the one. So we work with authentication technologies, and as you can see, there are a lot of authentication technologies. Cards, tokens, smartphones, biometric mouses, and basically to establish a person, it's something you know, a password, something you have, a token, on something you are, a biometric. And if we combine two of them, we speak of strong authentication. We at Autosas, we love biometrics. Basically, there are a lot of biometric technologies. This is palm vein, so it scans the vein patterns of your palm, and we have finger vein. Every day, new biometric and new authentication technology emerges, and that basically puts the business for a big problem, because authentication technologies and biometric technologies can fail for various reasons. Simply the apparatus doesn't work, or the person is injured, and or the environmental conditions are not correct. And yeah, the worst of all, your biometrics is compromised. You only have 10 fingers and you can't grow any new ones. So what happens if the authentication fails? The process stops. Basically, we don't make money in the business, and that is a big problem. That's why we came up with this solution. We built this strong authentication framework where we can mix and match all technologies. We can stack biometrics. We can stack cards. We can all use them in parallel or all at once. And best of all, you can use them and apply them to every moment in time that you need it, whether it's accessing a Windows network or a wired or wireless router, or you want to do a transaction. You just call the appropriate biometric framework, and we do the authentication, give back a yes or no to the system with a value, and the recipient system can make the decision to either grant a payment or grant access or whatever. So we sell this across the globe. We have customers, 3-letter agencies to cheese makers and everything that goes between. America and Europe, but also Africa, are very intriguing market for us. And especially in Africa, biometrics is booming in all industries. Thank you.
Dankjewel, Renier. Can you tell me how unique is your proposition?
Well, we did around 80 man-years of work in it. We have big corporations like Oracle, Novell using our platform, where we have all certified integrations. It's unique because no one did it. All the strong authentication vendors are trying to create a vendor lock-in where we are trying to free the business and give them all the choice of all the biometric technologies and all the other authentication technologies that are there in the market, and apply the best for their businesses as they sit.
Okay. Questions from the audience? Josje?
Is it also available for persons? Because you're telling about businesses, but is it also for persons or for an app or anything?
Yeah, we have apps, very secure authentication apps, and no, it's not available for persons yet. We will release a basic version that can be downloaded in the second half of next year.
Other questions?
Where does the data stays of the persons that are authenticated? Is it a cloud service, or how do?
No, so basically the framework works hybrid. So you can connect any user repository and also mix and match user repositories, whether you are in the cloud or on-premise. And the framework logs every authentication event. So you have a complete audit trail across cloud and on-premise. So also from a user store perspective, it's completely flexible. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Reinier.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to introduce to you now 3 companies from Israel. And I've had the luck to spend this afternoon already with them and learn more about it. First up is Amir Lieberman from Nimiesco. Cisco. I always struggle with the name, sorry.
Just get my first slide up.
Yeah. Amir offers great and leading technology for voice recognition. So please give it up.
Okay, so voice analysis is an everyday thing, and we all do it all the time. If you think about it for a second, there are actually 3 very distinct disciplines that we use in voice analysis. One is speech to text, listening to the person speaking, trying to understand the pace that he's speaking and trying to understand the context and the words. Second thing is voice print, voice identification. We listen to the uniqueness of the voice and we try to identify the speaker. And third, this is veracity and emotion analysis. We listen to the person and we try to gauge, is he now happy or sad or angry? Is he feeling comfortable? Is he a nice person? Is he telling us the truth? Well, for most, we try to get computers to do it as good as humans do it. But when it comes to emotion and veracity assessment, computers, in fact, today can do it much better. Why would I say that? This is what the LVA technology is all about, and this is what we've been developing for the past 15 years. Think about it for a second. How often do you change your tone of voice to reflect an emotion that is not there? Hi, how are you? I'm so happy to meet you. In fact, we can change our tone of voice only to the extent we hear it with our own ears. And that's the biofeedback loop. What computers do, they can listen much better. And in fact, we've identified over 151 unique indicators in the voice that are non-controllable, non-audible, are the same in every language and for all mankind. And so today, we have computers that are able to read human emotions, assess veracity, and notify users in real time. We can also collect this data over time so we can better understand the personalities of our clients and agents. We can identify changes in the mood over time. And in fact, we can measure the engagement level between different speaking parties if we are allowed, of course, to listen to the conversation. Now, let me show you some examples of how LVA is used today. Starting from the security world, we provide security professionals, investigators, a special tool that allows them to scan through ongoing investigation, get alerts in real time, identify soft points in the suspect stories, and then it helps them, it leads them to find the entire truth much faster. From insurance companies, we provide another solution. Sorry, this is another slide. For security personnel inside organizations, we would provide an automated platform to run automatic periodical tests on employees or even pre-employment tests on employees to identify sensitivities in the stories that may pose risk to the organization. For insurance companies, we provide another solution called RA7 that is in fact helping you to screen through entire sets of claims as they come through your call center at the very first point of contact, using a set of scripted conversations to identify changes that will allow pinpointed analysis to your SIUs. And last but not least, we can scan through all interactions in your call center, identify problematic calls, gauge angriness with customers, and help to save the next customer. Thank you.
Questions?
Hi, I have one question about local laws and using this. Do you have to tell a customer who calls, for example, to an insurance company that you're listening to his voice and analyzing this? Or can you do this secretly?
That's really a local question, and I don't really know the locals, I must say. But from other countries, in Israel, for example, I can record your voice, I can slash it, I can smash it, I can do whatever I want with it, because it's already out there. And the legal system expects a normal person, normal behavior, to be able to listen to your voice. And actually, just like you were doing to me, you're assessing my stress level, you're assessing my honesty. A computer can do it just better. So But from legal point of view, you have to check locally, and my partners here probably did that already, otherwise I would not be standing here. Yes?
So are you going to make an app that's going to tell me if my conversational partner is hiding emotions?
We had this app.
Interesting business model.
It was, and then we decided not to do that. And the reason is, no, I'll tell you why. I mean, it's really a liability issue. And we don't want that liability. I mean, if somebody makes a silly mistake just because, you know, he decides to do a stupid move, that's a problem for us. So we had an entire, we've been working, as I said, for 17 years. So we had this type of activities. It started from there. It helped us collect a lot of data, establish the models, understand how accurate we are. And since we noticed we are very, very accurate, we just terminated.
Last question.
If you record a voice conversation, the software will strip out a lot of frequencies that you might need for your detection. How does that work?
Oh, now you're getting into my worst nightmare, because if you actually think about it, when you deal with voice over the phone, you have to deal with the lowest, the cheapest microphone installed on the cheapest phone someone in China decided you're going to use when you are interacting with your bank.
That's why I'm asking.
No, that's a perfect question. Then it doesn't end there. You're sitting in a noisy environment. It goes through a set of wires you don't have no control over. And it goes through different sets of compressions you know nothing about until it reaches you. Yes, it kills a lot of the indications in the voice. But what we still find is that if we use different mathematical models that we've developed over the years, we can still get enough out of this voice data. Now, if anybody thinks that this is a black and white thing, it's not. It does have, it's statistics, and that the better the quality of the data sample I have, and the better data I have, of course I can make better prediction.
Will it show the level of prediction, how good it thinks it is?
It doesn't show the level of prediction, but since it doesn't work automatically when you make critical decisions, we expect users and we train users to use better judgment. It's not a black and white. We're not going to judge anybody by telling, okay, he's not being honest, or you should fire this person, but we will say, ask him another question about drugs use, or ask him.
It's a tool.
It's another aid, yeah.
Okay. One last question? No? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is Richard Perry from BioCatch. BioCatch authenticates users by how they interact with their applications. So please give it up for Richard Perry.
Hey guys, thank you very much for welcoming me today. My name is Richard Perry. I'm VP EMEA for BioCatch, and we are a cognitive behavioral biometric company, very much like what you've seen today. Our focus is threefold. We want to help reduce the friction that is often associated with security and authentication that your banking users will experience on a day-to-day level, both on web and on mobile. And we want to reduce as well fraud by identifying non-human behavioristics within accounts. Now, the byproduct of those two things is that we can offer additional functionality to improve the customer's experience and improve the feature set that will come with that. How do we build a cognitive signature? Well, very simply, we look to analyze the device and the location, pretty simple. We look to analyze the physical characteristics of the users behind the device, and we want to move the authentication model closer to the identity of the user. And further than that, we look to analyze the cognitive choices, the cognitive traits, the cognitive movements a user will have across their application. And then we want to try and analyze response pattern to those cognitive choices. And we inject invisible challenges in order to create continuous authentication. And those invisible challenges create a challenge and response mode throughout that authentication model. And these invisible challenges will separate you almost by providing a unique digital fingerprint within the session that you have with your bank. Now, there's a whole load of things we can do with cognitive biometrics. Reduce SMSs, take away the friction associated with security, improve the user convenience. I think the world of cognitive biometrics and the other stories you've heard today will continue that evolution. And so I thought I'd finish with a cheeky little video to show you what we're all about.
Ever wondered why so many online and mobile users are identified as suspects and find themselves in your high-risk lineup? This unfortunate customer just logged in from a new location, and this one bought a new computer. So you block them, call them, or use a step-up authentication like sending a code, or ask them the ultimate question to verify their identity. But 20% of them get them wrong, which means your digital channels don't realize their full potential and your user's experience isn't great, while fraudsters still find their way in. It's time to change the rules of the game. BioCatch behavioral analysis optimizes fraud detection while reducing this into that. Every user moves their mouse in a completely different way. When typing, they create a distinctive pattern. Mobile users all touch and hold their device uniquely. Above all, our invisible challenges introduce subtle deflections and deviations that users respond to, each in their own individual way without affecting the user experience. And that's just part of the more than 400 different parameters that we analyze using machine learning to build an individual, accurate behavioral authentication profile. And if an intruder shows up, well, they simply don't look the same. We also detect criminal behavior consistent with advanced cyber threats. So now, your fraudsters look like this, and your customers like this. BioCatch. Less friction, less fraud.
Thank you.
Could use this?
Fantastic question, given the audience. Well, of course, I mean, I think we all want to improve your customers' user experience in online and mobile banking. And so taking away the frustration that they might encounter for security when they are actually the correct user will save a huge amount of operational cost and efficiency. And of course, we can identify non-human behavior, so malware, remote access attacks, computer-aided attacks, and this obviously will improve a huge amount of the potential fraud. So we can identify the user, and from that benefit, there's a huge amount of opportunity for banks to both save money and improve the life of their users.
Anyone else? Our usual suspect.
How do we know you can be trusted with the information? Because you need to put keyloggers on the machines and stuff like that. And can you make it so that you identify the person and provide a hash to the bank, and the bank has a hash and they say that's that person without you knowing who it is?
Yeah, great question. I think that that covers two things. One, we're a cloud-based company. The second is we don't want to encroach on any private or privacy-type customer information. So we don't want to know the customer. Our relationship with the bank provides a user's ID, encrypted user ID. And what we're looking to pick up, if you like, is the metadata, the raw data that we can analyze from these 400 to 500 parameters. And we are just looking to identify that the right user is operating within the account. We don't know who that user is. Only the bank, our customer, can remake that link on a security level. So we're not encroaching on any private or privacy aspect of the relationship the bank has with the customer.
Anyone else?
Yes. Will I get rid of all the different captchas I need to fill in all different websites?
That's a fantastic question. Yes, I think we can kill all captchas with this type of technology. Yeah.
Are you going to work with all companies that provide us with captchas then?
Yeah, so I think captchas is more so in an e-commerce environment, and certainly we have propositions for both banking and financial institution and e-commerce ecosystems. And the frustration that people have and the friction associated with captchas, and also the failures associated. For every time I see one, I can hardly understand the last digit. So yes, this type of technology moves the authentication model and the verification of the user quite close to the identity, and will improve the sort of scenario around those e-commerce applications that are so frustrating when we just want to buy a ticket for the cinema or a movie or whatever it might be.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our last company from Israel, Benjamin Levy from Is It You. Is It You offers leading technology for face recognition. These one. Yeah, I thought so. We're gonna start with that.
No, we're gonna end with that, but you know, you need to be ready.
I'll be ready.
There you go. Hello, everybody. There's 180 seconds in a 3-minute presentation. That's 540 words, which leads most people to speak really, really quickly. Rather than do that, I want to tell you 3 things that you need to remember. 1, all passwords suck. 2, your password sucks. 3, you have a beautiful face. $30 billion are gonna go up in smoke because your phone, the one you have in your pocket, is unsecured. It's the worst secured digital device in the history of mankind, humankind, woman. I'm getting lost. It's the worst secured phone. We use passwords that suck, and we put everything on the phone. How many people here have email on their phones? Hands, please. How about Facebook? Hands, please. If I get a hold of your phone, there is nothing I cannot do to your life. I can sell your house by the time you get home. To remedy that, we bring face. And you've seen a lot of biometrics, and they're all good. I really mean that. The more biometrics we have, the better, but we like face for a simple reason. We've been using it as a species for the last 500,000 years. We are really good at recognizing faces. I was in Amsterdam last time in April, and I came on Wednesday. I stayed at the same hotel, and the gentleman at reception looked at me and goes, "Good evening, sir. How can I know you?" He recognized my face. "You are not going to remember my name, but if we meet each other in a month, you're going to recognize my face." Now, why is this important? This is important because, here we go. Because all of you have one of these. By definition, anybody that participates in the digital economy, in the mobile economy, has one of these. So, all of these have a camera, no added cost. All you need to do is add our software. Could I ask you to be my guinea pig? So this is my demo application, and your name is? Vincent. Vincent is going to try to get in, and he is going to look at my phone, and my phone is going to tell him, "Yeah, you don't look anything like me." So, and he doesn't. He's a good-looking guy as opposed to the gargoyle. But here's the interesting thing. You're going to say, okay, so everybody has a phone, everybody has a face, everybody has a camera. Good. My face is already on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Google+, and any number of other places. What happens if somebody has a copy of my face? They download a picture. They have a mask, like Tom Cruise. And here comes that mask. That is I need to see your eyes. That is a 3D mask of my face. It costs a lot of money to make. So here's where you take the pictures, guys. There you go. And here you go. No, not authenticated. Actually, not authenticated. And the next question, and oops, I ran out of time. He's going to ask me a question, what happens if somebody downloads a picture, and I'll answer that when he asks it. You were going to ask that, weren't you?
You were. A question from somebody else, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Sorry. Yeah.
There's a question back there. We'll come back to you in a second.
I think the same question applies here that was asked before about the phone quality. You say it's very convenient because it always works, but what with bad cameras and bad light circumstances and all that?
2 questions, and they're both excellent and fantastic. One is, any phone sold today has a camera we can use. We actually need just a VGA camera. So any Android, iOS phone today has much more than we need. The second one is it goes to being usable. So this is an excellent environment, really great lighting. My face is very well lit. Piece of cake. However, what happens when you are at home and watching the TV and you see something you want to buy and it's completely dark? We have made it so that we work everywhere. Bright sunlight, pitch darkness, basically the illumination from the screen is more than enough to take care of your face. We can turn off the lights, I'll show you. Questions?
Anyone else?
Him.
Of course.
Can it be a different question, or is that has to be the?
No, you can ask any question. Oh, God.
What if I detach the camera from the phone? I have physical access to your phone. I put a face logger between the camera and the phone. How would that work?
Do you work for the NSA?
He could.
If here's what we're trying to protect, and I'm going to give you two answers. One, $30 billion are going to go up in smoke. We're talking about wholesale fraud and theft. Okay, so we are trying to make theft more expensive, more difficult. What you're talking about is a concentrated attack on one customer. So if that's the whole of your problems, the 30 billion turned down to maybe a million, 1 million. So we would be okay. I would be happy with that result. On top of that, if you were to physically disassemble the phone, okay, each and every phone, and stick a logger in the middle and all of that, you would still have my face, okay? And you would not have a timestamp, and you would not have changes. We compare images one to another. This would be, Tom Cruise wouldn't get in, but you're welcome to try.
I'll give it a shot.
Give it a shot, absolutely. The gentleman had a question. Okay, so we have a learning system. Every time you use it, you hold the phone a little different. So we don't use pictures, we use math. We turn your face into math. So we add to the model every single time you use it. As you age, we get to know you. So if you gain weight, you lose weight, you grow a beard, you drop the beard, you get all of that. We know that it's happening. If you don't use the system for 3 years, I can still guarantee that I'll know you, unless you are a teenager, because they change so much when they're young. Okay, but adults, 3 to 4 years, no problem.
Are there some pilots you can share with us? Are you doing some pilots with this technology that you can share with us?
We can. There's a very nice bank in Israel that is working with us, and there's a very nice bank in Central Asia that's working with us, but they have asked me not to use their name yet. Sorry.
Okay.
It's kind of embarrassing. You had a question?
Last question.
Come again?
I understand correctly that it's all automatic?
Yeah.
And how quick is it?
700 milliseconds. Okay? And something I forgot to say, you can authenticate yourself on the phone and use it on a website. So get it that way. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Benjamin. And last up, and last but not least, of course, is Manuel live from KLM. Not a startup, but a corporate that is exploring how they can use biometrics. So please welcome Manuel live.
Thank you very much. My name is Manuel van Lijf. I work for the Product Innovation Department of Air France KLM, responsible for airport innovation. And I would like to talk 3 minutes about an innovation we're doing at the beautiful island of Aruba. It is a project in a public-private partnership we're doing with the countries of Aruba and the Netherlands, Schiphol Airport, Aruba Airport, and KLM as a launching partner. And the goal of this project is to establish what we call a pre-clearance situation from Aruba. This means is that the passport check that is usually done when you arrive at Schiphol is moved to Aruba, so you only have to go once through customs and immigration, and when you arrive in Holland, you arrive as if you were on board a domestic flight, meaning all the hassle and the operational complication behind it is not necessary anymore. Now, what kind of problem are we trying to solve? At the moment, the departure process looks like this. We're harassing passengers with asking for documents every step along the way. We're not sharing information between the different stakeholders at the airport, and basically being not productive. What is the project about? Is about connecting existing technology, but connecting it in such a way that it is unique. We're using biometrics for identifying passengers. We're making sure that it is privacy protected and according to EU standards. Well, the happy flow, as we call it, goes a little bit like this. You prepare your trip before you go to the airport, pre-arrival. Then you walk to a kiosk where you enroll for the happy flow process. And what you do there is we scan your passport, we authenticate your passport, we match a live capture of your face with a chip in the passport. We see if you're wanted on a watch list, and we combine that with the reservation that you have with the airline. From that moment on, all we need is your face to identify you. So you go to the bag drop machine, you look in the camera, we print your luggage label, and you can continue. Our agent doesn't have to verify your identity anymore because that's already done at the kiosk. Next step is security. You look in the camera, we know so much about you, that you don't have to take off your shoes, you don't have to take off your belt, we know you, so you can proceed through the gates. At the border control, you look into the camera, we have identified you and your passport so you can proceed through the border control. And at the boarding gate, we know that you have a reservation so you can proceed on board of our flight. Now, what are the benefits? Of course, a much faster and speedier process for our passengers. FTE savings because we're not duplicating tasks. It's a safer airport process. We enable profile or risk-based security. Digital visa checks are possible. And of course, the big step is when we apply this at Schiphol Airport and Charles de Gaulle. That's it.
Any questions?
You said I don't have to take my shoes off because you know me, but how does knowing me prevent me from wearing shoes with explosives?
Yeah. Risk-based profiling is all about gathering data from passengers and rating you. So based on reservation data, flown history, if you're are watched on a watch list, how you paid, if you paid with credit card or cash, you can build up a risk profile from a passenger, and that indicates if we want to see you or your shoes or your suitcase, or to say, like in the Previum project or process that we have at Schiphol, we know so much about you, there's no red flags behind your name. You still have to go through the gate, but you can leave your shoes on. That's what we mean by risk-based profiling.
Other questions?
Yeah, first of all, great that you found a project at the Caribbean, especially in this winter time.
Yeah.
But doesn't it mean with risk-based profiling that, for example, if someone is Arab or just visited a Middle East country, are you not going to discriminate?
Well, the security process is not an airline process, so it's the security officers or the immigration officials that do that. What are the indicators that they use for profiling somebody? I don't know, because we're an airline. But it's possible that if you've purchased a business class ticket with cash in Yemen yesterday and you're now in Aruba, that probably raises a flag. So yes, where the ticket is bought or what the nationality is could raise a flag, but it's the combination of a lot of data. If you've been a frequent flyer with us for 20 years and you fly to Yemen every 2 weeks, then you're very safe and it's definitely not a problem. So it's really an it's the summary of a lot of, or the addition of indications that gives you a certain risk profile.
How do passengers react to this technology?
We don't know yet. We're actually today the tender closes and we're going to make a decision on the supplier this month. We're starting to build in January, going live in May. So we really start slow only with KLM flights, inviting people to test the process and to learn from that. It's a 2-year pilot. And so in those 2 years, we want to learn also what we can learn from it to apply later in Schiphol. So we don't know yet. We're very curious.
One last question.
what's the driver behind this business model? Client satisfaction or less costs?
There's different things. Of course, we don't want to hassle passengers that they have to show boarding passes and documents every literally 20 meters at the airport. So it's a driver is passenger satisfaction. It's also savings. So we don't have to double check the passport 3 times if we can only do it once and save time. And it also increase security because we now reuse a document check that's done by the immigration, and we don't use a ground stewardess that's really not trained for that to check documents. So it's actually multiple benefits for this case.
Okay, thank you very much, Manuel.
Welcome.
It's 5 o'clock. I promised you 1 hour. Time for drinks, but before we do that, 3 more things from me. Our next Startup Friday is on December 12th. It's a special one. It's the FinTech Friday, and it's co-hosted in cooperation with Holland FinTech and the Dutch FinTech Awards. So I hope to see you all there on December 12th at 4 o'clock in the Dialogues House at the Foppingadreef this time. If you want to learn more about our speakers or see an episode, this episode or a previous episode of Startup Friday again, please check out our website, our fabulous website, www.startupfriday.nl. And last but not least, I would like to see the intermediate score. How much have we raised? Can someone show me? Still some work to do there, 377 euros. We're gonna start to get 1,000 before 6 o'clock, so I propose you head down to the bar, take a drink and make a donation. Last but not least, I would like to ask everybody here, all of our speakers, all of the 8. Thank you all 8, very much for being here. This was Startup Friday. Thank you all for being here, and I hope to meet you at the bar. Bye-bye.